Hello guys, right now there's a lot of talk and speculation about when the next recession is going to start. All of the data is pointing towards that the recession might come sooner than we think. And some people even believe that we are actually in the recession right now. At this point, we have an interest rate that is now above 8%, which is the highest point it has been at during the last 40 years. We also have a really sharp increase in the interest rate, and it's looking like the Federal Reserve is going to increase the interest rate even more in order to try to control the high inflation. The stock market has responded to all of this with very large negative returns. And we see the S&P 500 index being down by 18.66%. And we see the more tech-heavy index, Nasdaq 100, being down by 28.28% year to date. A recession is something that does have an impact on every single company within the economy. However, there are certain companies and certain sectors that does tend to do better than other companies and other sectors. In today's video, I'm gonna name 5 different sectors that does historically tend to outperform other sectors during recessions. I'm also going to mention a few companies within each sector that you guys can start looking more into if you want to limit your potential losses during a recession in 2022 or 2023. If you like today's video, then please press the like button below and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this one in the future. With that being said, then let's get started talking about the 5 sectors that you can start investing into in order to limit your losses during a recession. The companies and the sectors that do perform well during recessions, they have certain things in common. And one of the things that they do have in common is that they are producing products or services that people need to buy even though their budget is tightening. So they are costs that you cannot reduce. And the reason why you should be looking for these sectors and these companies is because they are able to sell a lot of products even during recessions. And therefore they do have a decent cash flow. And that is what you should be looking for as an investor during recessions. The first sector that I would highly encourage you to look at is what is called cost-conscious retail. And the reason why cost-conscious retail is super interesting during rough economic times is because people, they tend to spend less money during tough economic times. And one of the easiest ways in order to spend less money is by buying the cheaper options. And therefore cost-conscious retail tend to do really well during tough economic times. And a few examples of really solid companies within this sector is Walmart, which is the leading chain grocery store in the US. Another example is Home Depot. This is the leading home improvement retailer in the US, and since people are saving money during recessions, well, then they're also doing more things at home by themselves instead of hiring someone to do these things. And therefore, these retailers, they tend to do really well and increase their sales during times of recession. Therefore, I would highly recommend you to look more into these companies. The second sector I have is utility. Even though the recession is really tough and people are losing their jobs and businesses are closing down and so on, then people are still very dependent on utility and they still have to pay their utility bills every single month. Therefore, the companies that does operate within this sector are very safe choices during recessions. There is basically always a demand for water, electricity, waste collection and natural gas. Therefore, these companies tend to have really stable earnings during times of high economic uncertainty. A few examples of companies within this sector is Pacific Gas and Electric Company. This company is basically a provider of natural gas and electricity in Northern and Southern California, and it is one of the largest ones there is in the US. Another example is American Water Works. This company is the US largest water and wastewater utility company there is, and they are producing really stable earnings all the time. The companies that operate within this sector are also paying really high dividend payments. And the average dividend payment is around 3% within this sector, which is also very good during times of high uncertainty. The third sector that does really well during recessions is consumer staples. During a recession, we often see that people are changing their habits. And one of the easiest habits to change is where you eat. Very often people, they go out and they eat. However, during recessions, people, they tend to go to the grocery store and buy more products and make the food at home because it is the cheaper option. And therefore, companies within this sector, they do tend to do really well during these times. An example of a company within this sector is General Mills. This is the market leader of packaged food products. The company produces a ton of different products that are in high demand, and it is a really strong company. Another company is Pepsi. Pepsi, they have a very wide range of well-known brands that are always in high demand, and they are also in high demand during recessions. Pepsi, they also have a really strong brand which makes them even better during times of recession. The fourth sector is basically one of my favorite sectors to invest in, and it is healthcare. Basically, no matter how rough the economic circumstances are, then people are very dependent on their medicine. And they have to keep buying medicine even though they don't have a lot of money. Therefore, healthcare companies, they tend to perform very well during times of high economic uncertainty. A good example of a company within this sector is Johnson & Johnson. This company is very known for making really good products that are used by a ton of people all over the world, and it is a very stable and good company. And the second company that I'm gonna mention is a company called Novo Nordisk. Most likely you haven't heard of this company before. It is a Danish company that is the market leader within its industry. The company is mainly producing insulin, and they are selling it all over the world. They have really stable earnings, and they have produced some of the world's best medical products there is, and they are selling a ton of them all over the world. It is by far one of my personal favorite companies, and I have a ton of money in this company, and I really have high expectations for it in the future as well. If you don't know about this company, then I would highly encourage you to look more into it and see if this is something for you as well. The fifth sector that has proven to do really well during recessions is real estate. And when I'm talking about real estate, I'm more talking about real estate investment trusts, which are also called REITs. Investing into REITs or real estate has always been known as one of the best things you can do when there is high inflation. And the reason for this is because the value of the properties that you own do increase with the inflation, and so does the rental payments. Therefore, they are acting as a natural hedge against inflation, which is really good. I personally really like to invest into REITs because it is a very easy way of investing into real estate. I don't need to own any real estate assets like houses and manage those houses. I can basically just put my money into the REIT, and then they're doing all the work for me. They are paying me extremely good amount of dividends every single year, and I really like this investment. And I'm now going to mention two examples of different REITs that you can start looking into. The first REIT that I'm going to mention is Realty Income Corp. This REIT actually owns more than 11,000 real estate assets that are spread across more than 70 sectors. Therefore, it is a really well diversified REIT that is also paying extremely high dividends. The second example I have is actually an ETF version of a REIT, and it is the Vanguard Real Estate Index Fund. This is an index that does own several different REITs, and therefore you get a more well diversified portfolio within real estate by investing into this index fund. They are also paying extremely high dividends and is extremely attractive. I do have money within Realty Income Corp, but also within this index, and if you don't, then I would highly encourage you to look more into it. Investing into REITs is one of the easiest ways to gain some of the benefits there are of being a real estate investor without having to buy the real estate asset yourself. These were basically my 5 different examples of sectors that you can look into during times of recessions. Of course, I cannot guarantee that the stock price or the market value of these companies doesn't decrease during a recession. However, it is very unlikely that the cash flow of these companies does go down a lot. And that is a very good guarantee to have during times of recessions, namely that the companies that you are invested into are still earning money. If you have invested into companies that stop earning money during recessions, well, then you are most likely going to see very large negative returns on your stock portfolio. Therefore, I would highly recommend you to stay away from those stocks and think about where it is that you put your money during times of recessions. I hope that you liked today's video. If you did, then please press the like button below the video and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this one in the future. See you in the next one.